I was born and raised in Hawaii. I dance hula and fire knife. I have played in 7 countries, but been to 14 countries, and it's inspiring polyglot.
Thank you for joining us today. We are joined here by Hunter Olaso of Webster University men's soccer team. Hunter, how are you doing today?
Good, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
So my first question, obviously, for you, being from Hawaii, you said you lived your first 18 years in Hawaii. So you're born and raised in Hawaii, coming to Webster University. How did you find your way to the middle of the continental United States?
Well, I played in a showcase in Arizona, I think in 2016, and luckily I was able to be scouted by our assistant coach, Josh Selmeyer, or co-head coach, and luckily he saw promise in me, and I was able to come over to Webster in the Midwest and pursue a career and get my degree in international business and play the sport I love. So that's how I ended up so far away from home.
Now, you may have ended up far away from home, but I know you immerse yourself with some cultural events still. You can hula dance and you can fire knife dance. Can you tell everybody a little bit more about those two cultural events?
Yeah, so a lot of people back home or where I come from, we dance hula. It's a traditional dance, and as well as fire knife. I'm sure you guys have seen it in like a luau or in movies, but yeah, some of the things I did growing up included dancing hula and fire knife dancing.
That's really neat, really neat. So after a goal scoring celebration, do you ever hula, little?
No, but I might have to now.
You might have to, that's right. Another interesting thing about you, you said you've been to 14 countries and that you've played in 7. Can you tell us a few of the countries that you've been to?
Yeah, so luckily I've been able to travel. My whole family has worked in the airline industry, so I got to jump on their flight benefits when I was younger and travel the world. And with soccer, it's allowed me to go and play in a bunch of different countries, mainly Europe, um, Italy, Germany, Spain, France, and Switzerland, and England, one of my favorites. So I've been fortunate enough to travel the world and play the sport I love.
Yeah, that sounds great. Great experiences. I know, so we just mentioned various countries. You're also an international business major. Um, yeah, you mentioned that earlier in your life, you used to sell shoes. So a little
Yeah,
entrepreneurship.
yeah. Back home,
Has
we
been
didn't.
in your blood, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. We didn't, like I said, back home, we don't have a lot of stores growing up. Like for soccer shoes or regular shoes, we'd have to drive 100 miles to go to the nearest mall across the island. So I found kind of like that niche and I started reselling shoes. And I kind of just paired that with my love to travel and pursuing a degree in international business.
That's great, combining things, that you love and really, really great to see your entrepreneurship skills there take off. Speaking of Hawaii, have you been able to go back home at all since the pandemic, or how are you
Yeah.
managing? Okay.
Yeah, I was able to go home in March, right when everything started to get bad. Webster put all the school online, so I was able to go home and finish the semester online, spend more of an extended summer with my family, which is really nice because before it's usually just been like a month off or 2 months I get to see them. And so it's nice to go home for, I think, the 4 or 5 months it was and kind of reconnect.
Yeah. Now that you're back here in St. Louis, how have you handled that with your teammates? Obviously, right now, you guys would typically be playing your season. It's been pushed back to the spring, and hopefully we get the games in there. But how have you handled that adjustment without athletics?
Well, it's been interesting. Like we usually come in and we have the season, we hit the ground running. With the big freshman class that we've gotten, it's nice that we get to know them a little bit more. So I think the chemistry going into the spring season, hopefully we have the spring season, will be a lot stronger. And I think overall we get to spend a little bit more time with each other off the field. We organize stuff on the side in small groups, and I think will help us build momentum going into the spring season.
sure, you've taken advantage of that opportunity, really build that team bonding right now. So yeah, I know you mentioned that playing athletics and college sports, it's kind of taught you some life lessons. Helped you with developing that teamwork skills. Your work ethic. Can you expound on that a little bit and tell everybody a little bit more what sports has allowed you to develop?
Yeah, sports as a whole, not just soccer. Growing up, I played a bunch of sports, but it's taught me a lot of life lessons that I think that if I didn't get through sports, I'd have to find elsewhere. A lot of hard work, dedication, teamwork, a lot of patience. I guess that discipline to work when no one is watching, and it just teaches you a lot about yourself. And I think that even if I don't extend my athletic career after school, that I'll take a lot of the lessons I've learned throughout my life, and it's given me, I think, some of the best friendships and connections that I don't think I'd ever have if it wasn't for sports. So I'm very grateful for that.
And I also forgot to you earlier, I really liked one of the things that you mentioned, and that playing college athletics has allowed you to be more focused and disciplined in your academics. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So in high school, I know my first couple years, I was very just focused on sports, and my academics started to slip a little. When I realized how important academics was, and I've always been the type of student who wouldn't get it first time. I'd always have to put in the extra work, and knowing that I can do it outside of academics and doing it in athletics, I have to put the same amount of, I guess, work ethic into getting your academics done. And so it's kept me on a nice narrow line so that I can play um, athletics. So it's helped me through college. I think I've become a better student. I've become more disciplined in my academics, and I think that has transferred from my athletic career. So very another life lesson I think that I wouldn't have gotten if it wasn't for sports.
That's right. What do you like most about being at Webster University?
I think being at Webster University, the biggest thing for me is it's not a big university. It's a smaller school, but it's really tight knit. So a lot of the people that I've met and the relationships that I've was able to create being at Webster has made it probably one of the most enjoyable experiences. Sometimes, I mean, we have our ups and downs at the school, but I think the people kind of help you get through everything, and it really makes the time, like your time, more valuable here. And I think just the people here, in the Midwest in general as well, been very nice to us. And my roommate and I, who's also from Hawaii, but just very welcoming, and I think it's made our experience memorable.
That's great to hear. My final question for you, I want to talk about your final fun fact. There's been a theme kind of about our whole interview. You like to travel. So
Yes.
that's the final fun fact. If you want to tell everybody, you want to be a polyglot. Can you explain to everybody a little bit what that is if they don't know?
Yeah, so a polyglot is someone who can speak multiple languages. I took Spanish in high school. Like I said, I wasn't a great student, so I don't really remember too much. But after I left the islands and meeting all these new people, I kind of got to see what language does. When you speak to someone in their native language, it hits harder. It hits to the heart. It's not just surface level. So to be able to learn different languages and communicate and make these different relationships with people all over the world, something I definitely want to do. And I just love linguistics. I was able to study abroad in Italy, picked up some Italian. I want to build upon it and just keep learning other languages. So as well as Hawaiian. Back home, if you're not in a immersion school, you don't really learn the language fluently, but you do know I know a lot of phrases, and I just think I want to keep that language alive as well. So learning that language is important to me as well.
Yeah, I really like what you said there about when you learn a language and speak to them in their native language, you really connect with them and get to that heart-to-heart level. That's really cool that you've already realized that here in life. So that's neat to hear you say. So
Thank you.
My final thing is I know you wanted to say a shout out to your family. So if you want to take this time now to say hi to your family and anybody else that's watching back in Hawaii, feel free to.
Yeah, thank you. I'd just like to say thank you to all my coaches and teammates back home, and a huge thank you to my family, my mom, dad, brother and sister, all my aunties and uncles and cousins, and also a big shout out to my auntie Marcel. She's like a second mom to me, and her and my uncle Malcolm have helped me get to where I am today as well. So big shout out to them as well, and everyone back home.
Perfect. Well, Hunter, I've really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit today, and hang loose.
All right, mahalo, Brian.
All right. Take care.
All right.